All right, well, good morning, everyone. My name is Emily. I'm the membership supervisor. We've also got Jed Dodds, zoo personality, doing our presentation today on our zebras. We also have Gail Brown. She's our chief development officer, and she is on the call today, and she'll be answering questions. And we'll just try to get all those questions answered for you. And I think whenever you're ready.
All right, good morning, and thank you, Emily, Gail, and I think actually Anna is on here as well. So, you know, it takes a lot of people behind the scenes to be able to put on these presentations. So thank you to all of you guys that are helping with the behind the scenes pieces. And of course, thank you to everyone who is joining us this morning, all of our wonderful members. You know, we've been doing our member chats now for a couple months, and we're going around the zoo and getting to see and meet and greet a lot of our amazing animals. And the zoo is open right now. I'm actually away from the public area, which is why I do have my mask off today. But if I was close to where the public was, I would have a mask on, because even though we are open, we are asking everyone to have a mask on for safety, obviously, of your surrounding guests and some of our more vulnerable animals. So if you are looking to come to the zoo, please go to our website, reidparkzoo.org. Even if you are a member, you still need to reserve a ticket, because we do have a limited capacity of those individuals that are able to come into the zoo every day, so we can reduce those numbers of guests to maintain good social distancing here at the zoo. So even if you are a member, it does not cost you anything. You just put your number in. The ticket is free, but we still need to have a registration. So please be aware of all the kind of protocols that we have set in place during this time. And it's been working out great. It's great seeing people in the zoo and enjoying the animals, but I'm so happy that we're still able to engage with you guys in this way, bringing you a virtual experience with our animals. And today, of course, is our Grevy's zebra. And I'm going to flip my camera around here so we can take a look at our Grevy's zebra. Hang on just a sec. All right, so we are out in our kind of savanna or veldt habitat, and we have two Grevy's zebra here at the zoo. We have Ben, who is our male, and we have Anna, who is our female. So we have Ben and Anna, and we call them Banana. Yes, that's right. We like to make silly puns here at the zoo. So we call them Banana, and they are currently out doing what zebras do, which are grazing. Now, I said that these are Grevy's zebra. There are 3 different species of zebras. So we have our plains, we have our mountain, and our Grevy's. The Grevy's are the largest of all wild equines. So that's all of the wild equines out there, not the domesticated. So don't get on me for, you know, Clydesdales and some of the bigger horses there, because we're talking about wild equines. The Grevy's are the largest, and they can get upwards of around 900 pounds, which is fairly significant compared to the plains and the mountain, which more range around 500 to 600 pounds. And we just saw our female ostrich Eiffel come out, or that's not Eiffel, blanket on her name at the moment. Hang on, it'll come to me. Our female ostrich just came out, and then Eiffel, our male, is going to come out over on Ethel. It's Ethel and Eiffel. There we go. So they get kind of interchanged there on me. So they're just coming out for the morning as well. Now, Grevy's zebras have an interesting history on how they got their name. The Grevy's zebra was first described by a zoologist in 1882, and that was Emile Ostelat. Now, forgive my translation because it's probably wrong, but it was a French naturalist that first described the difference in the Grevy's zebra from the 2 others. And he wanted to name them after the French president at that time, which was President Jules Grevy. And he was president in France from 1879 to 1887. And he was kind of a revered president. So he was a very beloved president. And that naturalist wanted to name the zebra after him, which is how an African species has named after a French president. And President Grevy was given a Grevy's zebra by the Minister of Abyssinia, which is now Ethiopia. And that's one of the ranges. So there's our male ostrich coming out. And that's one of the ranges of the Grevy's zebra. This is a critically endangered species. Compared to the 3 zebras, this is the most critically endangered that we have. And there's only right now around 2,500 wild Grevy zebras left. And that's considerably down even from the 1970s. 1970s, we had estimated around 15,000. And now there's only about 2,500. So you get to see the ostriches going a little bit. And I saw somebody was saying that the focus is a little fuzzy. That's because our animals are a little bit further in the back. You can see once Ethel comes up here doing her ostrich dance. There's the ostrich dance. We typically will see this in the morning. So we do have our 2 ostrich, our male and female, that are here. And the male is quite a bit larger than the female. Now, both our ostrich and our zebras are entering into a breeding season. So Ethel is showing you how she can be a big, bad ostrich. And she's also showing off her ostrich dancing, which will happen quite a bit during breeding season, or it can be a territorial display. These guys will throw out their big wings and do this circular dance. Sometimes they'll kick up dust and move their head from side to side, just like what you guys are seeing. So that's awesome that we got that little interaction there. She got a little excited when Eiffel came out. And this is an excited ostrich. The ostrich is the largest bird in the world. So the males can reach heights of around 9.5 feet and weigh upwards of around 300 pounds. The females are a bit less than that, but the males are the largest bird in the world, and they are also the fastest ground bird in the world. So they are the fastest running bird. These guys run at speeds upwards of 40 miles an hour, 40 to 45 miles an hour. Of course, they are flightless birds. So they are part of a bird family called the ratites. And the ratites are our flightless birds because they are missing a keel bone. The keel bone is attached to the chest bone on our flighted birds, and that is what the winged muscles are attached to that allow birds to have the strength to be able to fly. The ratites are missing that keel bone, have evolved to not have flight, but to be able to have adaptations to survive on the ground. So adaptations, they still have wings, they still have feathers, they are still definitely birds, but they adapted with strong, powerful legs. Those powerful legs allow them to run, again, up to about 40 miles an hour, and then also to be able to kick at potential predators. And they have a giant claw on one of their toes that is like a raptor claw. And if that can get a hold of flesh, it can definitely rip right open. So these are formidable animals, not only to their size, but also because of some of their adaptations. And I do see that it is a little fuzzy. I do have the camera zoomed in. So I'm going to try to switch here and see if I can zoom that camera out, and we might be able to get a little bit more clarity. So I'm going to switch it back to me. So sometimes with the camera, if we are zoomed in too much, it gets a little bit pixelated. So give me just a moment here as I zoom out, and then we might get a little bit better picture quality. Again, it's sometimes challenging on our Zoom equipment on what we're able to give you guys and produce here. So all right, let me see if that works by zooming out of that one. All right, so we got a little bit better picture quality there. There you go. Okay, so now back to our Grevy zebra. As I said, these are the largest species of equine in the world. Again, there are 3 different species of zebra in Africa, the continent of Africa. We have our plains, our mountain, and our Grevies. And these guys you can find up in northern Kenya, kind of the Horn of Africa, and in some parts of Ethiopia. The ranges in Ethiopia are definitely decreasing, so our numbers in that country are dwindling fast. Northern Kenya, there are some protected ranges. The Subaru National Park is one of the protected ranges for the Grevy zebra, but again, unfortunately, their numbers are dwindling down to less than 2,500 individuals. And a lot of that was due to hunting in the early 50s and 60s for their pelt, for their skin. These animals were hunted for meat and also because of the striped skin that grevies are known for, and or all zebras are known for. And that really led to the decline in their population. And in 1977, there was a ban put on this species for hunting. And so it is illegal. They are a protected species in Kenya and in Ethiopia. So it is illegal to hunt Grevy's zebra. There, of course, is still some poaching that goes on, but the bigger problem now is habitat loss. So the space that these animals need is quite a large range. These are the least social of any of the zebra species. So when you see those documentaries on the migration of the giant herds in Tanzania going around into Kenya, that's southern Kenya and northern Tanzania, that is a different species. Those are very social, gregarious zebra species. That's our plains, and those animals are extremely social, and they tend to be in ranges where there's a lot of a large grassland. These guys are in more arid, kind of bushy areas, acacia thorn bush, and because of those resources are low, there's not a lot that it sustains. So they don't have the big grasslands that can sustain, the millions of zebras in that migration, but these guys tend to hang out in much smaller groupings. There typically is a territorial male. So the stallions will be very territorial. They mark their territory by urine and dung. So they will move dung around their area, and they will fiercely defend that territory because, again, it is such a small area that these animals have. And then within there will be several mares, and the stallions that are going to be the biggest and strongest are going to be able to protect the areas that have the best resources. And of course, that's going to attract more mares, more healthy mares to be able to breed with. And so that male ends on passing his genes on to the next generation. So the area these guys live in, unfortunately, is being competed with cattle grazing. And the cattle grazers, because there's little resources, they are taking those resources for their cattle and fencing off the areas for the Grevy zebra. So they keep the water areas, the watering holes, fenced off for their cattle, and therefore the Grevies have a challenging time getting all the resources they need. Now, this species is also a very hardy one. They can go up to a week without drinking any water. But when they do find a water source, they will definitely load up and they will stay there for as long as that water source is available. The Grevies are also known to be able to dig their own water holes. So they'll dig down if the water table is high enough to where water will start percolating up, and then that gives them the ability to drink. And that also is kind of an eco-engineer where not only the zebras benefit from that, but the other species that live with them that don't have as powerful hooves to dig those holes, they were able to have a water source as well. Another big thing that the zebras are facing, of course, is climate change. We are seeing a decrease in rainfall in those arid deserts areas. And what that means is obviously less water in the watering holes and less water that's able to produce enough grass to sustain the species. And with those two complications, it makes it very challenging for this species to be able to survive and thrive in an ecosystem. And so, again, what can we do? Well, there's a lot of things that we can do to help combat climate change. We've talked with them. We've talked a lot about those throughout our sessions, throughout our virtual chats. So things like recycling, things like saving energy, things like saving water, all those things help to reduce our emissions that is creating this CO2 heat blanket that ends up trapping heat inside our environment and raises our temperatures, which of course can have catastrophic effects. I think we're seeing some of those effects right now, even with fires in California. We've got a hurricane, bearing down on the Gulf with Alabama. I mean, we're seeing these things start to increase, and a lot of that is due to either less rainfall that's presenting more dry areas and or warmer waters. That's how those hurricanes start, with those warmer waters mixed with that warm air. And that's, where we see that. So we're seeing that effect here, but we're also seeing that effect in places like Africa. And when you have less rainfall, that really can be a challenge for all the species that really, rely on that for survival. So zoos have stepped in and have been able to house Grevy zebras. There's around 700 or so Grevy zebras in AZA facilities throughout the United States, and several of those are in breeding programs. So remember, we talk about the SSP, or the Species Survival Program. Each species has its own SSP, and that is the breeding regiment, or the breeding requirements, or the breeding arrangements, if you will, for each species. It's the stud book. It's the way that we can track the genetic lineage of each individual and pair up non-genetic or animals that aren't genetically related together with each other to have offspring and to be able to sustain that species long term. So Ben and Anna are fairly new to the zoo. They've come within the last couple years, and Ben has come to us from San Diego, so the San Diego Zoo, and Anna has come to us from the Sedgwick County Zoo. Sedgwick County is in Kansas, Wichita, and both of those zoos work together with the SSP to be able to place those zebras here to come together for a breeding program. And when I was setting up this whole computer and camera system, we had quite a bit of breeding behavior going on. So when the zebras first came out, Anna was actually initiating a little bit of breeding behavior, and then Ben was following her, and there was quite this chase, and you heard the brain, the vocalization of the zebras. It can look a little aggressive because they will use kind of their teeth to bite at each other, and definitely the hind ends to be able to kick and swat. And so there's definitely a little bit of a breeding courtship that goes on. It can seem a little aggressive, but it's really not. It's all just normal behavior for these guys. And then once they get through that, you'll see grazing. And then in a little bit, we may observe some of that breeding behavior again. And that will go on for probably the next week to 2 weeks until we have successful breeding. And then through that, we will wait and see if Anna is pregnant. So there's not a test that we do to determine whether or not she is. So there's not really a urine or a blood test. But what we'll do is look at her behavior. And if she comes into estrus again, that means that we'll put them together again for breeding. And if she doesn't, then that's a sign that she's already pregnant. Zebras have a gestation period of about 390 days. So it's about 13 months, anywhere from about 11 to 13 months is a normal gestation period for our zebras. So it is fairly long, like most of our prey animal, our herbivores. They have longer gestation periods where they typically will only have one offspring. And that's really a great survival tactic or tool, that when that foal is born, that foal within the first 10 to 15 minutes is up and walking, nursing within 30 minutes, and moving with mom and running with herd within about an hour. And with that, it gives them a higher chance of survival from potential predators. Predators for the zebra, the main one, of course, is going to be lions. Lions are going to see even the Grevy zebra at their size as a potential predator. Lions in an individual, significantly smaller, females 300, males 500. So a 900-pound animal is going to be a challenge for one, but of course the power of the pride, if those lions are efficient enough, then they may be able to bring down a large adult. But a young foal would be an easy target, and or an older, sick, injured animal would be a very easy target. But both the zebra and the lion are well adapted to be able to hunt and survive each other. Both run about 45 miles an hour, and both have great adaptations for either bringing down an animal or defending themselves. So we talked about the powerful kick of the zebra, and they also have kind of 4 sharp canines that they can bite with. and of course their speed. So these guys, again, run about 45 miles an hour. That's the same speed that a lion can run. So the chase happens within about 30 to 60 seconds, whether or not it's going to be a successful hunt or the zebra is going to get away. The lion can accelerate to 45 miles an hour much faster than the zebra, but the zebra can sustain that speed for much longer than the lion. So that distance of survival, again, is about 60 seconds on whether or not the lion is going to get close enough and be able to strike an attack, or the zebra is able to tell where the lion is and be able to get the heck out of there. Zebras have an excellent sense of smell and hearing, and the Grevy zebras have the largest ears of any of the zebra species. That's kind of how we know them, not only from their size, but those big old mule-looking ears. And they also have a great eyesight. And as Ben is walking up, you're going to get a good look at where their eyes are located. Hi, buddy. So Ben's going to come up and say hi to us. So the eyes are located on the side of their head. So as he's making that side turn right there, you can see that his eyes are on the side. So eyes in the front, ready to hunt. Eyes on the side, ready to hide. So our predators are going to have their eyes focused forward, and they're going to be able to, by having those eyes in the front, be able to determine depth perception. So how far away is that animal? How fast do I need to run? How far do I need to leap to grab a hold of them? But as the zebra is grazing and eating grass, which is what they're doing for the majority of the day, they don't want to have their eyes staring straight down at the ground or right in front of them. They need to have their eyes on the side so they can see that lion coming and they can get the heck out of there. So we're going to flip this around, and I'm going to have you guys do this with me. I'm hoping you guys are going to do this with me. All right, so here's a great way to see what a predator or a prey sees. All right, so you guys all have to do this. I'm just going to believe that you guys are doing this on the other end with me. Otherwise, I just look silly by myself. So you got to give binoculars. Okay, so give yourself some binoculars just like this. This is your predator. You can see straight in front of you, and it's hard to see the peripheral. But now, if you lift your elbows straight up, you can see how my hands kind of twist, and now you can see out the side, and that is your zebra. All right, so lion is here. We've got our binoculars, and then we lift our elbows up, and we twist around, and now we see out the side, and we can see like a zebra. So predator, eyes in the front, ready to hunt. Prey, eyes on the side, ready to hide. Hopefully you guys all did that and it wasn't just me looking silly. Hopefully you guys were looking silly with me, but it's a great way, little exercise to really be able to see the difference on what's going on between our predators and our preys. And so again, both are really well adapted for survival, and the hunt of a lion is only successful about 15% of the time, which is not a lot because again, they're dealing with a really powerful animal in the Grevy zebra. So it's a really remarkable species that we're so proud to be able to have here at the zoo, to be able to tell that story and really talk about in this manner, and to be able to connect people not only with all those awesome adaptations that these animals have, but the mission of being able to protect the species. So as you guys know, Reid Park Zoo does global conservation, and we have been a part of the Grevy Zebra Trust Project that is up in northern Kenya, and that is, of course, the range of the Grevy zebras, and we have been a part of that in the past, and we look to those different conservation opportunities throughout the year and to really see where we can be impactful. But we have global conservation that we do all over the world that is really helping to protect those areas for species like zebra, like ostrich, like the lion, elephant, our anteaters, our tapirs, all those amazing animals that need our help, that really need our help for survival, because a lot of the reason that they're in this condition is because of us, is because of historic hunting or habitat destruction, or again, that climate change that we have a direct effect on. And we can be part of the solution. So we can be part of this great solution. And it really doesn't take a lot. Sometimes we think that, oh my gosh, we've got to do all this conservation. We've got to do all these things to be able to save these animals. And it's too much, and it's just, it doesn't work. And that couldn't be further from the truth. It is small things that we can do collectively that make a really big difference in the impact on these animals. And we've seen that happen time and time again with bringing species back from the brink of extinction to saving habitat, like in the Tarangire National Park, where we've protected over 1 million acres of land, and we now have doubled our elephant population in that area, and we see animals thriving. And so this does work. What we're doing does work, and zoos are a direct link, and you guys are that link. You guys are part of this great problem that we are having as the solution. You guys are the solution. Just by being members, you guys are helping us do all that amazing work. And then all the other work you guys are doing. And I know you guys, because I see it, I hear it, you guys tell me about it all the time of, you know, what you are doing individually as your family to be a part of that solution. And so we are here to inspire you for that, to do that, and to help you and encourage you. So again, if we all do small steps collectively, then we see a huge impact which directly saves these species. And the Grevy's zebras need it. They need our help right now, because if we don't reach out and we don't start changing that, we might lose this amazing species, which again is the largest wild equine in the world. That would be a sad story. It's not one that I want to tell, so I want to tell one of success, and we definitely have that opportunity to be able to do that. So with that, we are at about 9:30. Emily, I don't know if you're on, or Gail. I know we've had a couple questions come through, so I'm happy to answer some questions if we have those.
Sure. So hopefully my internet issues seem to be better. So one of our questions is, has the zoo ever had ostrich babies before?
We have not, and Ethel does lay an egg, but she doesn't sit on them and incubate them, which is fairly common. So we end up, you know, taking those eggs away because she's not paying attention to them. So we haven't had any ostrich babies here, but that doesn't mean that in the future we won't. And ostrich eggs are obviously, as the largest bird, they're the largest egg in the world as well. And they've got to be able to sustain about 300 pounds of pressure on top of them for the female to be able to sit on top of them. What's interesting about ostriches and nests is that usually they'll communally nest and communally sit on each other's eggs. So you may have 5 or 6 ostriches all lay eggs in the same nest, and then all 5 or 6 of those females take turns sitting and incubating those eggs. So, which is pretty cool as you know, a bird to have communal nesting. You don't see that a lot in the bird world. I see. Focus the camera again. Sorry, Emily. I'm trying to, but if I, it all depends on where they're at, on whether or not I can focus it. So let me see. While you're asking me that question, let me see if I can flip this around, and I'll try to zoom in and see what we get.
Okay, it's been telling us a few times that your bandwidth is a little low too, so that might be affecting it.
Yeah. So sorry, guys.
So another question is, usually for our chats, we like to provide the animals some kind of fun enrichment. Did we do anything for the zebras, and what kind of enrichment do they normally get?
Yeah, so zebras, like a lot of horses, they like to bite at things and play with things. So we've given these guys those jolly apples that you would hang on to a fence. Those of you that have horses may know what those are. And they're just something to kind of bat around and play around with. But a lot of times we'll challenge these guys with what their food is. Now they have access to grass here, but we do feed them a Bermuda hay, and we'll put those in hay feeders that might be a little bit challenging for the zebra other than just getting free food on the ground. So they do have to work. It's a little bit of a puzzle feeder. Ostriches are interesting. I always say that use the ostrich as an example of one of our animals that we don't use very complex enrichment for because their brain is smaller than their eyeball. So they don't quite have the mental capacity to solve some of the more challenging problems like an elephant or a bear or even our primates do. So for them, we give them very simple things. We give them fun things to eat. Ooh, that looks pretty blurry. That's pretty blurry. Is that blurry on your end, Emily?
Yeah, it's pretty fuzzy.
Okay, I'm gonna change it back to not quite as zoomed in. So we will challenge our zebra or our ostrich in just giving them different food options. We move their food around. Sometimes we'll put bubble machines on for the ostriches, which is really fun to be able to watch because they just sit there and they kind of pop all the bubbles, which is funny. They sit there and go bop, 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 and they pop the bubbles. So they like bubble machines, and they seem to be just interested in new things. So just adding new things in their environments, in their habitat, they just get really interested in. They want to go check it out. They're very mouthy animals. So they tend to like just new things to kind of bite at and peck at and do their thing. So yeah, we definitely will do some enrichment for them. But again, it's specific for the species. We don't want to give the animals something too challenging where they're going to get frustrated and they're just going to walk away or leave. So, but definitely enrichment we do for every animal.
What is the purpose of the stripes on zebras?
Yeah, great question. So zebras are well known for those black and white stripes, and they are born with them. Typically, they're brown fur. They have brown fur that overshadows those stripes when they're foals. And once they reach about 10 months old, that brown fur starts to dissipate and the stripes come through. So the brown fur for the foals is because typically they're hiding in the ground, so they've got to blend into the ground. But the stripes are great to be able to blend into each other. Now, individually, they stick out like a sore thumb, right? So if we look out here, we can see them really well. But think about if you had 50 or 60 of these guys together, or again, with our plain zebra, sometimes you have thousands of these zebras together. And the goal of the predator is we've got to isolate one animal. So for that lion, they're trying to figure out which one of these zebras is going to be the easiest target, and then they're going to run after it. But those stripes, as they're running, act like a strobe machine going across like this. And so if we go like that, you've got to try to figure out which hand is going which way, which stripe is going, and then they've got to get that juke. Remember, that life or death happens within about 60 seconds. It's a flash of an eye. That lion's got to be able to pinpoint what zebra they're going to, and then they got to take out. Remember that the lion also is colorblind, so they only see in shades of black and white and gray. So they're not seeing in colors and have that ability to really distinguish all the coloration behind. And so not only are we seeing in this black and white grayish tone, but now we've got these zebras that are doing this strobe light across, and so it's really challenging. So it's a great adaptation, again, not to blend into their environment like a lot of animals will have, but to be able to blend into each other, the power of the herd. And those stripes are very efficient in being able to avoid predation by their predators.
And where in the world can you find ostriches?
So ostriches really range throughout the continent of Africa. It's a species that is doing well. They are of least concern right now. So you can find them, almost throughout Northern Africa. You won't see as many, but definitely East Africa, going into South Africa, Botswana, Kenya, Tanzania, Somalia, Ethiopia. You do see ostriches really throughout. It's a fairly well adapted bird. Tends to do really well in different environments. And they don't have a lot of predators either. I mean, lions will go for them, wild dogs, hyenas, but there's not a whole bunch of meat on them, and they can run pretty darn quick too. So we might see some breeding behavior going on here now that they've had a little bit. Yep, so you're going to see this now. You're going to see kind of the head down. So you're going to see a little bit of kicking, and Anna's actually initiating a little bit. She's actually backing up. She was backing up into Ben. And then Ben's like, okay, well, what do you want to do? And then Anna ends up kicking her or kicking him. So, which is pretty common. but we might actually get them running around here and see a little bit of that behavior. And if we see that the ostriches are just going to get out of the way, they're going to be like, we don't want anything to do with this.
What is the median life expectancy for ostriches and then also for zebras?
So zebras, as I said, Ben is about 18 years old and Anna is 7 years old. Maybe I didn't say that. Ben's 18 years old and Anna is 7 years old. We can see zebras live upwards to about 20 to 25 years, median life expectancy. But in human care in zoos, we can see them live 25 to 30 years. Ostriches, I don't have the birth dates on our two ostriches here, but ostriches can live around 20 years as well. Even upwards into 30 years. So all of them, I know our ostriches are fairly young. They're not too old, but I don't have the birth dates on them. I do on Ben and Anna, so that's how I know that they're, Ben again is 18 years old and Anna is 7 years old. For the zebras, the females become sexually mature at about 3 years old and the males at 6 years old. So neither one has had an offspring at any other zoo. So fingers crossed, we're pretty excited that we might get one here at our zoo.
Perfect. And then I think this might be probably the last one. We might be able to squeeze in another question. Do ostriches really stick their heads in the sand?
No, they do not. Thank you for asking that. They don't. That is a Looney Tunes commercial that somehow someone did that comic strip and it stuck on. Ostriches will not stick their head in the ground. The ground is hard. It's not a beach sand. So they'd have to somehow dig a hole and then stick it in. And it just, they don't do that. They will kind of peck things off the ground. They eat grass, they eat bugs. So a lot of times you will see them picking at the ground, but if something's coming after them, it's not like they're going to think they're hiding by sticking their head in the ground. That is a fable that, again, I remember growing up as a kid, seeing that in Looney Tunes comics. And no, these guys are going to run or they're going to fight. So the males will actually stick their wings out. They will charge at you. They will use those great, powerful legs with, again, that about 2 to 3 inch talon claw, and they will reach out and start swiping. That's what these guys are going to do. They're not going to stick their head in the ground and hide.
Thank you, Jed. So thank you, everyone, for bearing with us through our internet issues this morning and kind of fuzzy camera. I think that kind of wraps it up today. If you had any parting words of wisdom for us, Jed, or any updates on any upcoming events that we have in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I just want to again thank everyone for joining us this morning for our Wild Wednesday talks. These are a lot of fun for me, so I'm hoping that they're fun for you guys as well. We do have a couple upcoming events. Zooson is October 2nd, and it is going to be an all virtual event. Myself and one of our board members are going to be hosting it, and we've got a lot of great jam-packed stuff for our program and a lot of opportunities for you to bid on some amazing pieces, some silent auction pieces, some one-in-a-lifetime premier auction pieces, an experience with our elephants, experience with our giraffe. So it's going to be a lot of fun. The tickets are free. It's free to come and join. So there's no excuse not to go online to be able to check out all the information on Zooson. There's a lot of really fun things coming up, so stay tuned to our social media, to our website. I don't know yet what we're going to do for next Wednesday. I'm throwing around a couple of animals. I'm going to check to see what's going on out there. I wanted to do zebras because of the location, and I knew that this was kind of the breeding window, so we might get a little activity. We'll check on. I'll try and figure that out within the next couple of days. Emily will get that out to you. So stay tuned for next Wild Wednesday. But with that, I just want to thank you guys for hanging with us, and hopefully you guys had fun and got to learn some new fun, interesting things about our zebras and our ostrich. And with that, I will say goodbye. Stay wild out there, Tucson, and we hope to see you very soon. Bye, guys.
Bye. But also one more event. We have next Wednesday at 6 p.m. a virtual will workshop. And you
Yes.
can check that out on our events page on our website. We have a Denise Shepard is going to be talking about all sorts of will papers and other sorts of important documents that you might be interested in. So definitely sign up. That's free, and you can find more info on our website.
Yeah, you can become a legacy member. It's an amazing gift to be able to have the zoo in your will, and you can become one of our legacy members. Denise is a longstanding board member, supporter of the zoo. She's one of our amazing lawyers. So definitely, if you have an opportunity, if you're interested in that, check out that legacy event. It's a very meaningful a gift for the zoo. You know, it's pretty special to be one of our legacy members. So thank you, Emily, for reminding me. There's a lot of things going on, so it's hard for me to remember. That's why I have such a great support team back there that helps me out. This would not work without all of you guys, so thank you to all of you guys as well. So with that, we'll say goodbye, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, guys.